everyone. Welcome to the Sleepless Cinematic Podcast, where we explore our shared love for watching and discussing movies recorded in the late after work hours, often in lieu of a good night's rest. I'm Julian.
I'm Emilio.
And I'm Madeline. The three of us are colleagues at a Midtown Manhattan music school. Yes, music is what brings us together, but movies are what keep us together talking at the end of the night. So we've created some order to this ongoing trend by recording these conversations, considering an overarching theme while we cycle through 5 unique guidelines for engagement.
You guys can email us at sleeplesscinematicpod@gmail.com. Seriously, we would absolutely love to hear from you. You can follow us on Instagram and on TikTok for updates, highlights, clips, and other visual supplements to the audio we record at Sleepless Cinematic Pod, all one word.
In addition to these main episodes, we record and release bonus one-off episodes as we see fit. While we do this, you, the listener, can count on the three of us doing what we've grown to love, foregoing sleep for a discussion about movies every other week.
And this week, we continue our current cycle of discussing New York City movies with a category we call Two Shot, where we focus on 2 movies with some striking commonalities, some obvious, some not so obvious, and discuss their themes, characters, and other salient details that stood out to us, or in other words, where we discuss films twicely.
And the first of those 2 films, we will be discussing Good Time from 2017, directed by the Safdie Brothers, Josh and Benny.
And we'll also be discussing Anora, which is Sean Baker's latest film released last year in 2024, which just had a very triumphant night at the Oscars, winning 5 Academy Awards, amongst them Best Picture. It stars Mikey Madison in the titular role alongside Mark Edelstein, Yuri Borisov, and others. And I'm really excited to introduce our guest for this episode. So one night a few months back, I was scrolling through the Facebook page for the Big Picture podcast, which is one of a handful of movie podcasts I enjoy checking in on. And I came across a post from a member of that group promoting a podcast she had just started. I looked into it a little bit, and I had a hunch that making a connection would be at the very least worth trying. Now, that Facebook page can be a place where people genuinely get along. It can also be a place where people bicker and get weirdly divisive and let the worst parts of them show. I guess if it wasn't all of that, it wouldn't be the internet. But today, that page is bringing people together, uniting 4 movie nerds from different parts of the East Coast for a late night of film discussion. Her podcast with co-host Lindsay Strickland is called Post Film Clarity, and it can aptly be described as, quote, 2 movie fangirlies chatting their way into epiphany. You can find it wherever you listen to podcasts. Recent episodes include deep dives into Amelie, Killers of the Flower Moon, which I can say was a great episode, Pride and Prejudice, and a really fun, insightful look into all of your favorite women in film for Women's Month. I'm a big fan of what she and Lindsay are doing. Their podcast is only about 4 or 5 months old at this point, but y'all have an earnestness and a handle on podcasting that really suggests that you've been at it a whole lot longer. So I'm excited that you can join us tonight. Mariquita Reese, welcome to the Sleepless Cinematic Podcast.
Thank you guys for having me. I've never been on a pod, by the way, I don't think with 4 people at once. So give me some grace here. It's usually just the 2 of us. Yeah,
I totally understand. I feel like oftentimes, like, we've been doing more and more guests, and it sometimes can feel a little overwhelming to kind of find your in when there's so many people. But, you know, wave at us through your Zoom screen. We definitely want to hear everything that you have to say and think about these great movies.
Good, because I have thoughts.
Awesome.
And we're excited to hear them and share our own too.
Yeah. We are going to, I guess, get started first discussing Good Time, right?
Yes, Good Time, which is not to be confused with other titles such as Bad Trip, which is the Eric Andre movie from 2021, which was shot with hidden cameras depicting a road trip in which he and Lil Rel Howery, I believe it's the Eric Andre character's sister, played by Tiffany Haddish, was recently either broken out or been released from prison and has a score to settle with them. You know, hidden cameras, unassuming extras, you know, that sounds pretty similar to what the Safdies do too. It's not identical and not to be confused with.
That is true. Good Time is also not to be confused with Bad Times at the El Royale, directed by Drew Goddard, starring Jeff Bridges, Cynthia Erivo, recent Oscar nominee, along with Dakota Johnson, John Hamm, Chris Hemsworth, many more. I haven't seen this movie. Have any of you guys seen this?
I have not seen it. I've heard some great things about it. I've also heard that, like some of the movies we're going to be talking about today, it takes place in just one night.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
So even more reason to not get it confused with Good Time.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And although I don't think you could call pretty much any of the male youths in the movie good, this movie is not to be confused with Good Boys. This is the 2019 comedy directed by Gene Stupnitsky, starring Jacob Tremblay. Not that movie. That's not what we're talking about today.
Yeah, and we've talked about some similar titles, but for another type of movie that depicts maybe some similar circumstances, Good Time is not to be confused with Premium Rush.
Oh, yes.
Which is the action thriller from 2012 starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt as a bike messenger being hunted down by a corrupt police officer.
Michael Shannon.
Oh, wow.
I think is that police officer.
I got to see that movie then.
Yeah.
But yes, that is not the same thing as Good Time. These are two movies about people frantically moving around New York City, but they are not the same.
And I think it goes without saying that we should not confuse Good Time with the television show Good Times.
Yeah.
Nor the Chic song of the same name.
That's very true. Yeah. Definitely don't want to confuse it with the Norman Lear show from the 70s. It does take place in a city, my hometown of Chicago. Evan's family just keeping their head above water, making a wave when they can. That's not this. That's not what we're doing.
Nope. No, we are, as we've said abundantly already, we are discussing Good Time, the 2017 Safdie Brothers film starring Robert Pattinson. And beyond its surface level details, in the film Good Time, an erratic young adult named Constantine, or Connie Nikas, pulls off a bank robbery with his mentally disabled brother, Nick, which appears to go in their favor until a dye pack goes off in their getaway cab and stains the money that they've stolen. The two spend a while eluding the police until they are eventually found, and Connie manages to escape a mall chase while Nick runs into a glass door and is arrested and then jailed in Rikers Island. As Nick experiences the brutality of prison while a public defender aims to exonerate him, Connie attempts to muster the money for Nick's bailout. But when the mother of his girlfriend, Corey, freezes her credit card, Connie's plan B is to break Nick out of the hospital where he is recovering after being beaten by another inmate. Connie appears to succeed at this and sneaks Nick, in quotes, onto an accessoride bus before knocking on the door of a fellow passenger's house, hoping to make a pit stop to allow Nick to recover. After being allowed in and getting to know this passenger's granddaughter, Crystal, a little too well, Connie realizes that he has not broken out his brother, but rather a different man named Ray, recently released from prison himself, only to fall right back onto the wrong side of the law. Caught in an even deeper bind than he knew, Connie continues to improvise his way towards getting the money for Nick's bail, with Crystal and Ray in tow along some of the way, and going through steps that involve a theme park, a bottle containing a hefty supply of LSD, and numerous efforts to move forward, all at the expense of either his accomplices or other innocent people in his orbit.
Good Lord, that was like so thorough.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you very much.
Very nice.
Wow.
Just maybe go around and we'll start with you, Mariquita. Had you seen this movie before preparing for this conversation? What did you think of the movie?
Yeah, so this was only my second time seeing this movie. And it was a much more enjoyable experience this time because the first time I saw this, I think it literally gave me a migraine.
Fair.
I was so stressed out. I couldn't focus on anything that was actually happening. I was like, I don't even know if I like this movie or not.
Totally.
I think I'm just too caught up in the process of watching this idiot try to get money through all these get rich quick schemes. And I'm like, I have such a problem with people's like incompetency.
There's a lot of that in this.
Yeah.
This one was like a 2-hour headache for me the first time I saw it. So watching it with like a different mission at hand and in a different mindset, second time, much more enjoyable. So I think I upped my rating from the first time I saw it, which was exactly a year ago.
Very nice.
Nice.
I absolutely see your point. This is a stressful movie. This is a movie that really makes you want to yell at the TV. I think.
Oh, I was.
Yeah. Because Connie makes so many stupid decisions, but ultimately he's also, I'm sure we'll get into how manipulative he is and how he uses his charm to just be a complete dick to people and to try to get ahead himself. And it's kind of infuriating.
Yeah.
Extremely.
Yeah. I saw this movie in theaters. I don't have a super clear memory of seeing this in theaters, but Dougie says we saw this in theaters, and I do believe him. I am amazed that I saw this when I still lived in North Carolina and still said, yes, I want to move to New York. Luckily, my own New York experience has not been particularly similar to that in Good Time. But I really enjoyed it. I saw it in theaters, supposedly. And I've rewatched it at least once since then, before this past week in which I watched it again. I think that my rating has remained pretty steady the whole time. I've always really enjoyed it as a film, respected it as a film, even in some ways enjoyed the experience of watching the film, even though it's paired with my like very intense passion at how much I want to yell at Connie and shake him and choke him.
For sure.
He's the worst.
Yeah. Well, Emilio, how about you?
So I saw this movie, I'm going to say probably during the pandemic for the first time. I saw Uncut Gems in theaters, and I really enjoyed Uncut Gems. These two movies operate on extremely similar wavelengths. Even though I did feel like Good Time was in the shadow of Uncut Gems a little bit for me, I still thought it was quite good. And I'm like you, Mariquita, which is when I saw this again, this is my first time coming back to it for this conversation. My estimation of it has grown in a notable way. I'm really excited to get into this.
You have to leave in the purr that just came through the microphone.
Oh, we're going to.
Whoever edits.
Yeah.
This is an audio recording, but Mariquita right now is being completely smothered, it seems. We're doing it live, you know? So
we're doing it live. It's her bedtime.
Yeah. I totally see what you mean, though, about like the movie being on the same wavelength as Uncut Gems, but I experienced them in the reverse order. I saw Good Time, like Madeline. I saw it in theaters when it came out.
I assume you remember more specifics about your experience.
Yes, I believe it was the second to last or last week of August 2017, which is easy to remember because I, like a week later, began my junior year of college. Yeah, so this movie, it was the first Safdie Brothers movie that I saw at all. It's like set in New York. It's been well reviewed, has Robert Pattinson. And by the end of the movie, I was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
What really struck me about it is that this is, to set the scene, like 2017. Like, I feel like there was a lot of good movies coming out at that time, but it was a period, I kind of think of it as like peak MCU period, where a lot of what was out there and like doing well at the box office was very well done, middle of the road kind of stuff. I remember Get Out came out earlier in that year, and that was another movie that was just like, whoa, once the credits rolled. And so Good Time is an extremely different experience, but it stood out to me as something that was completely artistically in its own lane at that time. And I also, something I really appreciated about it then and still, is that I felt like it was hearkening back to a type of movie that was more popular in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
Looking back at like the French New Wave and New Hollywood cinema, films like, in France, something like The 400 Blows or Breathless, or in New Hollywood cinema, something like maybe, though the circumstances are very different, The Graduate or Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah.
It just struck me that, this is a film made by filmmakers who clearly have those influences on their mind and are going about executing them fearlessly.
They also had the TV show Cops on the mind.
That is true.
Yeah.
Or literally on the TV in one scene in Good Time.
Yeah.
Yes. One of the things I also knew early on when Dougie and I were first, part of the reason he sought this movie out was because he's like a huge fan of ambient music, of ambient electronic music in particular. So One O Tricks Point Never was definitely a draw for him, knowing that he had done this soundtrack. I think that's part of why he really wanted to see it at the time. And it's an incredible score. It's really, really affecting, I think.
Yeah, I think something that's often said about it is that it harkens back to like the Tangerine Dream scores of movies like Thief or Risky Business.
I was definitely going to say Risky Business.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Well, also like looking at it alongside Uncut Gems. I mean, I think those are probably the two most seen Safdie Brothers movies. And interestingly, I think, especially as we get closer to talking about Anora, we're going to see there's like a growth in the esteem that these movies garner in terms of awards as well. And Good Time, I'm not aware of it really getting much of an awards season round when it came out, but it was generally, I think, just a really good movie that didn't quite get that type of reception. But then Uncut Gems, I remember when that came out, people were upset about the fact that Adam Sandler didn't get an Oscar nomination for that movie. He did win an Indie Spirit Award for Best Actor, and if you haven't seen that speech, look it up. It's hilarious.
Okay.
But, you start to see a growth in the esteem of these movies that I think culminates in Anora getting this big sweep at the Oscars just earlier the month that we're recording this.
Yeah, and you're mentioning Anora. We are also going to discuss Anora on this episode. I think a lot of our conversation is going to be directly about the two of them together. Before we get into that, I have a specific to Good Time question for you guys.
Please, bring
because
it.
we mentioned Benny Safdie, one of the directors of this film. I don't think we mentioned that he also stars in this film. He is
True.
Nick, the brother of Robert Pattinson's character, Connie. And they have a really interesting relationship in this film. But one thing I found really interesting is that in one of the interviews I listened to, Josh Safdie said that Connie's backstory, the backstory he wrote for the character of Connie, included that he and Nick were estranged for many years due to some undisclosed event that happened during their childhood. And I found this so interesting, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about it. And it's definitely, I think, allowed me to re-examine their relationship in the film and Connie's motivation. So I wanted to get your thoughts on this. Do you guys think Connie sees the two of them as confidants, as like partners in crime? Or does he kind of see himself as a savior for Nick?
I think I see in the character of Connie just deep insecurity and ineptitude.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like guys like that love to find someone who they can kind of like big time a little bit,
Sure.
or just anybody in their lives that they can be a little bit better than and seem a little more competent than, even if it's not like a fair comparison, because Nick is obviously mentally disabled and it's just not like an appropriate comparison. But I think Connie thinks that, well, I need to look out for him, I need to protect him because he's kind of helpless without me. But Connie is also helpless.
Yeah.
And also not very bright. So I think he does see himself as the savior of their family. I think he needs Nick, I think, to make him feel smarter or better than. That's kind of how I'm reading Connie as a character.
I love that you say he needs Nick, because I totally agree with you. And I think Connie thinks that Nick needs him.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
don't think that that's true.
I think Nick is better off
Yeah.
without him.
I think that's evidenced by the fact that he brings him into the whole bank heist thing to begin with.
Yeah.
I mean, every indicator there tells you it does not take two people to do this.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, he brings him along, and there is not a good reason for it.
Yeah.
Connie also needs Nikki in some strange way. There's like a security blanket element, I think, to them in some respects. I'm really
Totally.
curious, like, what we think that incident that caused the estrangement might be. Like, could
Yeah.
it be like the origin of maybe some of his mental disability?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Could it have been
maybe.
Connie's fault that happened? When you wrote that was the first thing I thought of.
Perhaps.
And if that's the case, then maybe I look at Connie's devotion to him a little differently.
This is like guilt.
Yes,
perhaps.
totally.
Yeah.
It could definitely read that way.
Yeah. I had a thought too that along similar lines that, yeah, maybe Connie has fucked up somehow in the past with Nick, and that by bringing him along for this bank robbery, on some level, he thinks not only that, he wants to redeem this relationship, on some level, he thinks he's doing right by Nick.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
This is a repentance of some kind, that he's doing him a favor,
Yeah.
even though he has a really twisted idea of what that is. But yeah, and another important point about Connie just in general is that like Madeline and I both watched the commentary on the DVD of the movie, and one of the brothers, I think it was Josh, mentioned about Connie at numerous points is that he really is bought into his own delusions, that he's like he believes his own lies.
Oh yeah.
And doesn't really seem to be trying to change himself. He's just acting. It's just pure id the whole movie.
Yeah. I was also thinking it's easy to miss, but they occasionally mention that they have this plan after, like, it goes very wrong, but their plan is to rob the bank and then go to Virginia.
Yeah.
Not sure what's in Virginia that you can get for $65,000. That's really not that much money. I mean, it's a lot of money, but is it
Life-changing?
Is it like, I'm going to go start anew with 2 people? Is it enough? Even in Virginia.
I think this speaks to the point you made, Mariquita, about his ineptitude.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's just completely, like you were saying, Julian, just delusional.
Yeah.
Like, I also, by the way, love that you listen to the commentary. I grew up listening to DVD commentaries on movies I didn't even like.
Some of those are the best ones.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was like, did you know that in Miss Congeniality?
Yo, I'm sorry.
But I love Miss
I gotta say,
Congeniality.
thank you for running that back. That's a great pull. Shout out to DVD commentaries. They're the best.
That's standard procedure on this podcast.
Although Julian and I agree that perhaps, or I'm saying they had 6 people on this commentary. I think that's too many
that's
people.
too many.
Yeah.
I couldn't
Wait, unless it's an Adam McKay movie, that's too many people. Because the Adam McKay commentaries fucking slap.
Okay.
Really?
I'm
He
gonna
has
have
like
to check
10,
one out.
15
like
people.
Big Short.
You got to do Anchorman.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got to do Step Brothers. Have you listened to this?
Haven't
No.
listened, but
No.
I'm down. I love Step Brothers.
They sing the entire commentary.
Love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
They
I'm
sing.
in.
The
They sing.
prestige worldwide repertoire that we didn't know was there.
And John Bryan plays the piano
hell
on
yeah.
it.
Very nice.
Perfect.
While we're on this topic, if you've
Beautiful.
never listened to the Spinal Tap
I was thinking
commentary,
the same thing.
yeah,
Yes.
the
haven't.
Spinal Tap DVD commentary is one of the best ever recorded.
They do it in character.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So does Robert Downey Jr. on Tropic Thunder.
Ah,
Oh.
very
Oh.
He
nice.
stays in character
Yeah.
until the DVD commentary.
Yeah.
So it's like a dude describing a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude.
As another
There you
dude.
go.
Exactly. Period.
Yeah.
Period.
Dudeception.
Sorry for that
I
digression.
love it.
just,
Thank you for bringing that up. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Nope.
I love commentaries. But yeah, it's like Connie just really, I think the whole Virginia thing, I feel like Nick mentioned it very briefly. He said something about, oh, we're going to go have this farm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he thinks like, yeah, we're going to go to Virginia with $60K or whatever, buy this farm and live this like idyllic life. Meanwhile, these are 2 of the most city kids to ever city kid.
Yeah.
Good point.
You've probably never set foot outside of the boroughs in your life.
Yeah.
What are you doing on a farm in Virginia?
And I think that
Like-
speaks to this idealism
Yeah.
that sometimes
What are you doing?
people who grow up entirely in urban environments maybe have this idealism of rural life, and I think reversed as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they don't understand the complexities that come with this lifestyle that's so different from their own. So they're like, oh, I can buy a farm. Like, I don't need to grow anything or like raise any animals. I'll just live on a farm.
You have no
Yeah.
idea. As someone who grew up on a farm in upstate,
It's going to take a lot
You
more than
have-
60 or 65K to get that going.
Oh, a lot more than 65K, I'm telling you what. But yeah, I had both New York experiences, so that comparison really speaks to me. I grew up with the like farm life and then lived in the city a little bit later on, very briefly. But yeah, I think maybe he just wants Nick to believe in him, you know? Do you
Mhm.
get a sense that Connie, big picture, no one likes him?
Yeah.
You know? Like,
Yeah, it's true.
He's deeply unlikable. He has no friends really that we see. He's not really good at anything. So I think
Yeah.
I'm
No,
sorry, I'm
you're-
just gonna
you're
bash
so
on.
right.
We don't get any
This
indication.
is a Connie hate pod.
It's okay. It's funny.
I can't stand this bitch.
I mean, Connie is, I do not say this lightly, he's a bad person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
No, he fucking
we
sucks.
only see
Deeply
him do
sucks.
bad things.
Deeply bad.
And I know so many Connies
Yeah.
in real life. I grew up with a lot of Connies and his girlfriend
Corey, yeah.
Mm.
Oh my god.
Corey.
I knew people like that. They felt so real to me.
I turned to my
so
partner
real.
Dougie when Corey came on screen, and
Ugh.
there's like a particular person in my
She
life
breaks my
that
heart.
Dougie doesn't know, who I've like tried to describe her in so many ways and have failed, and I'm like, that's her. That's the energy right there. And he's like, that is such an insult to whoever you're describing. I'm like, this woman
It
exists.
is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a funny thing in Safdie Brothers movies too, especially later on, like Good Time and Uncut Gems in particular, where they're very diligent about casting non-actors in certain roles, but then, you know, out of nowhere there will be like a very well-known famous person.
Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Jennifer Jason Leigh, or
Right.
like in the case of Uncut Gems, like Idina Menzel there.
I
Right.
forgot she was in that.
Yeah.
Totally.
What?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she's there.
You'll have to see it to believe it.
She does
but-
not break out into song, but
Wow.
she's there. Yeah.
I have to see this
Yeah,
movie.
it's, I mean, maybe a bigger debate as to who really defies gravity in that movie. But honestly, in like thinking about Good Time after seeing it, I very rarely thought about Jennifer Jason Leigh being in the movie. And it's not like I forgot about her, but rewatching it, and also because she's there early on and you don't really see her again after a certain point.
She's not in that much of the runtime.
Maybe
Yeah.
10
The moment they
minutes.
leave the bail
place,
bondsman's office, she's
Yeah.
out of the picture.
He calls her at one
Yeah.
point. You can hear her voice on the phone, but that's the only
Yeah.
other time we hear from her.
But that bail bondsman, really a bail bondsman.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was
That was
gonna
a really
ask.
cool tidbit from the commentary where they said that they had found the office and were kind of planning on an actor playing the bail bondsman. But they find this office and they meet this guy and rent out his office to be the bail bonds place. And then I think it was weeks or months
I
later,
knew it.
right, that they went to him and were like, hey, do you want to just play the bail bondsman? And
Yeah.
they're so
Ugh.
complimentary of him, like on the commentary. They're like, he's
Yeah.
a phenomenal actor.
He's
Yeah.
really good.
Oh yeah, he's a real like salt of the earth, like
totally.
New York guy. Like you
Yeah.
could just. He reminds me of like my dad a little bit, just
He's
Yeah.
so no
Yeah.
nonsense.
You know, but, like,
Very no nonsense. Yeah.
he like wants to help you, but at the same time
Only
he's
to a
like,
certain point.
all right, like I'm right at my limit here. Like you,
And
you need
he's
to-
one of the only people who can successfully set boundaries with Connie.
Yes.
Like Connie is trying to manipulate everybody.
Oh, and he's not having it. He's like, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't care. You're not getting your fucking money back. Get out of my office.
yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
that's my money. Bring
Yeah.
me more, and then
Yeah.
I'll help
And then
you.
he'll help you. Yeah. He
he's
does
the
have.
one. You're right. He's the one person that Connie can't manipulate. He's like,
Yeah.
you're not gonna big time me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's like, just in general, like, you know, it's in both the capacity of this bail bondsman's job, but also just in the way that you have to personally engage with narcissists and people like Connie. When you bring up something that they know they have no control over, that's
Yeah.
when they start to lose.
It's
Yeah.
like, because what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
While we're talking still about like the narrative logic that exists around Connie being the protagonist of this story, I recall how when I first watched the movie, like part of it's just not knowing what Safdie Brothers films were like at that point, but also just not knowing what kind of character I was watching. I kind of thought, especially around the plot of him breaking out what he thinks to be his brother, I thought like, oh, is this guy like kind of like, does he have a plan? Is he like kind of a genius? Does he have like some masterful idea of what's going on? And as soon as I realized he broke out the wrong guy, I was like, oh no, he's completely
He's
improvising.
making it up as he
Funniest
goes
part of the
along.
Yeah.
movie when he wakes up and realizes, oh
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
and I have to ask you guys because, you know, rewatching it, I'm like, okay, I know it's not Nick. When he is in the hospital and they are wheeling this man out, I'm pausing it and I'm like, that is Benny Safdie. I firmly believe that.
Really?
I couldn't find any evidence of this online, but I really do believe that when he's wheeling him out of the hospital, I think they still have Benny Safdie in that chair.
That's
So it's
Yeah.
there.
interesting.
It's
and
there
I think it's to
obfuscate.
keep. I think it's there to keep the audience from seeing this twist coming.
Yeah.
And I could be wrong. You know, the way they kind of do this guy's makeup and the head brace and the bandages and everything. I could be mistaken.
No, I love
but
a
I'm pausing
conspiracy
it and I'm
theory.
like, I swear to you, this is Benny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that too.
But when the film reaches its conclusion and Connie can't escape the onset of the authorities and gets arrested, that was like, well, it cements this idea that he's improvising the whole time. He's not as smart as he thinks he is. But that was like when I realized that, you know, this was a movie drawing from like French New Wave and New Hollywood. It's like, yeah, the protagonist just straight up does not win. He completely loses.
Yeah, we'll get into this a little bit later, I think, when we talk about Anora. But I think one of the points of comparison between them is there is like a real downer vibe to the end of both of these films in some weird way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
had that in my notes for both of them. I said bummer endings.
yeah, bummer endings. Yeah.
Love 'em.
And it's like, I think both movies kind of leave you in that place where you're like, wait, this is how it's ending? Like now? Like with this, the credits are rolling over that. I think the Safdies are asking you to reckon with what you've seen, and Nikki is clearly in a better situation to help him with his disabilities, but he also doesn't have his brother in his life, and their roles have really flipped in this fair but also deeply tragic kind of way. And yeah, we're gonna see when we get into Anora too that I think the Safdies, like Sean Baker with Anora, are asking you, the audience, to really sit with those feelings, just like the characters have to. And I kind of like movies that are bold enough to be like, yeah, you're not going to go home skipping.
Yeah,
with
just
this.
deal with
Like,
it.
Yeah, you gotta deal with it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Before we move off of Good Time, I have to mention the way he just completely fucks over every Black person that comes within his orbit.
I definitely want to get into
Oh
this.
my God. It's like painful. Like the security guard at the
Poor Barcode.
I hate that scene. Like oh my God, it pisses me off.
It's really hard to watch.
It's hard to watch.
It's brutal, and it's followed up by him completely dismissing Crystal, was her name too?
Yes.
Another moment where
totally
you're like,
threw her under the bus.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
she's only there because of him.
Right.
Yeah.
And she's a kid. She's 16.
Yeah, she's 16.
Ugh.
And the Safdies point out in the commentary too that the reason why Connie can get away with doing things like that is not just his own malignant manipulation, but also
he's white.
That the system around him, the fact that he can, wear a security beanie, and then the cops see this man he's beaten up out of the clothes he's supposed to be wearing, and they believe that Connie is the guard and that this actual guard was the intruder.
Yeah, with no questions asked. Yeah, it's so brutal as a Black person from New York. Like it made it feel more real to me, you know. I was like, yeah, that would definitely happen, and shit like that has happened to me, like personally, and I'm like, fuck. Oh man, y'all just get away with everything.
I was thinking about that in the first time experience of watching the movie too. It's just like especially when that really brutal beating scene comes up, it's like, oh, I think this character is racist. Going along, just like, there was a real question in my mind of like, what is this movie going for here?
It's a little ambiguous, but then also when they rob the bank, why are they wearing black masks?
That's true. Yeah.
They're wearing literal black faces.
Right.
The rubber masks. I was like, I don't know. I think Connie is a racist.
He knows exactly what he's doing.
Right.
By
because
choosing
he's
these
like,
particular masks.
oh, if I dress up as a Black man and go rob this bank, then every other Black man on the street right now is going to get stopped and frisked and have their day ruined and be accused of a crime they didn't commit.
And this is based on a very real situation that actually happened that I think they talk about on the commentary. They've talked about on a few different podcast interviews I've listened to, where this actually did happen somewhere in the middle of America. When the news is showing security footage, a woman sees the security footage and is like, that's my son. Oh my God, my son has robbed a bank. And she calls the police on him, and he is arrested for robbing a bank, even though he obviously had nothing to do with it. He was at work wherever, and they go and pick him up at work thinking he's robbed a bank because these masks are so realistic. They were able to fool this guy's mother into thinking that he was a bank robber.
Connie's such a piece of garbage, honestly.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
It's only when the film gets to that conclusion that like this guy has completely fucked up where it cemented for me like, oh, okay, so like the filmmakers are more conscientious here.
Yes, this wasn't just like a throwaway.
Yeah, you do not root for Connie in any way.
Yeah, I noted that at the time. I remember reading this New Yorker profile of the Safdies around when Uncut Gems came out, where like that specific aspect of Good Time was mentioned, and the Safdies said that as ugly as those realities are, that they think it's better to depict them in films than to shy away from them, because that's, whether you like it or not, like that is the world we live in.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. And quick side note, I was stopped and frisked in New York City in like 2007. I was 19. So yeah.
I also had a really unfortunate situation with the police. I was skateboarding. Something had happened a couple blocks away, and they stopped me and they kept me there until they were able to confirm that like I was actually who I said I was. I had an NYU ID, and they thought I had stolen it from somebody.
Oh.
It was really, really weird.
Oh, they don't care, baby. They don't care.
No. So,
Yeah.
well, we're going to find our way back to Good Time specifically. Mariquita, you posed a really fun question for us to consider. Do you want to set that up?
Yes, I do. So I think both of these movies, besides the obvious, being set in New York, they're both from the like two leading prestigious movie production companies that are running right now. Good Time is under A24 and Anora is under Neon. So the question that I put forth to the group was, what movie from each respective studio would you pair with this? So for Good Time, I'm pairing 2020's Zola with it, directed by Janiska Bravo.
Great
And
movie.
the reason I chose that was because it's a very stressful 48 hours with incompetent criminals involved in like a get rich quick cash scheme. So yeah, that was my A24 pairing for Good Time.
Marquita, have you read the Twitter thread that Zola's based on?
You know what? This is like deep millennial lore. I have, but
Yeah.
I can't remember what year that Twitter thread was written, because I came on Twitter, I think in 2009, 2010.
I don't remember. I think I gave up partway. It's very long.
Yeah, it's like
I'm like, I don't know if
posts,
I can.
right?
Yeah, it's like I don't know if I can keep up with this. It definitely worked better in a movie format. Are you guys familiar with the Twitter thread that's always based on?
I know of it. I haven't read it.
Epic. It's I think the movie was a great adaptation of a tweet.
Yeah. How many movies are there out there that are just based on tweets?
Yeah. I mean,
probably not many.
I don't know if Zola won any adapted screenplay awards anywhere, but it certainly deserves to.
What are the rules for that?
It should have. You know how fucking hard it is to condense a Twitter thread
into a narrative?
Yes, into a good one at that. A24 movie?
Yeah. I love that comparison, and I think another thing about Zola too is that there's commentary on race in that movie as well.
100%, because the whole reason she even gets into all this trouble is because she's hanging out, as my mom would say, hanging out with one of them little white girls.
Yeah,
hanging out with Elvis Presley's granddaughter.
Yes, who gets her in all sorts of trouble and then fucks her over. Yeah, great. And that's also observation, Julian.
That character that Riley Keough plays in that movie is also like white woman who is like not only manipulative, but she's like co-opting black slang all the time. And I think like the movie interestingly has a little bit of like a Spike Lee straight to camera element to it as well.
Yes.
That I think really works in its favor.
Yeah.
I got to revisit that one. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Yeah, well, on this topic of A24 comparisons, one comparison that struck me at a good time is one of the first movies that A24 even put out, which is The Bling Ring.
Okay, I haven't seen this.
Of course.
Yeah. The Sofia Coppola movie from 2013 that stars Emma Watson as the leader of a group of, I think it's teenage girls in LA who just start looking up the addresses of celebrities on the internet.
On social media.
On social media, and nonchalantly wander into their houses and steal expensive jewelry and shoes and things like that.
Phones.
Yeah. Yeah, it is those damn phones, but it's the that's a movie. I mean, like there are certain themes that come up in Good Time that don't cross over to The Bling Ring, but that same element of like youthful naivete mixed with thievery and a lack of the sense of the ramifications that this will produce, because that's another movie. I don't really think it's spoiling much to say that things don't go well for those girls. It's a similar sort of moral to Good Time, where it's just like you can both understand what entices them about this, but also see from that third person view that, come on, what did you think was going to happen?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
My
That's a great
choice for
pick.
this was The Death of Dick Long, directed by Daniel Scheinert of The Daniels. And my reasoning for this is because The Death of Dick Long is also, it's a film where it's three friends. One of them dies during a crazy night out. Then the other two have to kind of hide the fact that they are somehow involved or were with him, and they have to hide it from their families and his family. So I think, and it also takes place in, I think, just like a day or two after the event. And
wow.
so this idea of like, in comparison to Good Time, with like, you've got the robbery and then you got the aftermath. And here it's like crime aftermath. Like, I don't think you could go so far to say they murdered their friend in The Death of Dick Long, but like mysterious death and then the aftermath of it. And I recommend this movie. It's certainly an experience.
What year did that come out?
2019.
I've never heard of this.
Yeah. I got into it kind of going back through the Daniels filmography after Everything Everywhere All at Once. But this is not both of them. This is just one of them.
I see.
The Daniel.
Yes.
A Daniel.
A Daniel.
I'm choosing 2015's Green Room.
Ooh.
So I like this one a lot. We talked earlier about how Good Time has this music, and the score has this kind of vibe to it. Green Room actively is about this punk band that gets trapped in a room, and there's punk music like all throughout this movie, and it's really brilliantly used. I love that. It's kind of all happening in, like we were saying, 36, 48 hours feel. It's also centered around a bunch of young people who get into this situation without realizing that like they may just not get out.
Right.
And so there's a lot of desperation throughout this movie. So
Yeah. And in a genre sense, that's a very like survive the night slasher horror movie. Which it's interesting to think of it that way because, you know, depending on the descriptors, it's not that different from Good Time. Yeah. Is there a horror version of Good Time that exists in an alternate universe?
I
sure
think
there
Good
is.
Time is just like this close from being a horror movie.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, Good Time is a horror for those of us with competency kinks. So
Wow, you just really hit the nail on the head there. But it just doesn't have like those qualifiers, like the amount of gore to call it a slasher movie or something like that.
right.
Or it's not supernatural. You know, but if we're going to talk about genre in that movie, I certainly would call it a neo-noir. I think that, that's unambiguous to me. And that's also something that, even if it's a little bit belabored, I think we could say about the next film we're going to discuss, Anora.
So this is Anora, not to be confused with Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist.
That's so good. I love it.
Although
Yes.
there is playlist talk, which we will get into a little later.
This is true. There definitely is.
I saw that movie in the theaters.
I saw that movie being made.
Oh, cool.
I walked right by
Whoa.
Michael Cera, who was sitting on the back of a truck. We made eye contact. We were about 10 feet away. I was like, I know you.
Oh, right. You have
Yeah.
mentioned
I've
this.
told this
You've
They,
story.
told
they
this story.
shot in New York for real.
They shot in New York for real. They
Oh.
shot right by the NYU campus.
You know who what set I ran onto one time in New York? The third Bourne movie.
Oh, nice.
That's a good
I
one.
walked out of Grand Central and didn't realize the like street was blocked off. I was on like Lexington, and
Yeah.
I like look to my left. I see all these black trucks. I look to my right. I see Matt fucking Damon, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Whoa.
I was like, "Oh shit! I'm in the middle of this fucking Bourne supremacy." And there's like PAs. I was like, I'm sorry.
That's fantastic. I think that
It was
definitely
so
beats
great.
my Michael Cera sighting.
No, they're
But yeah, it's-
equally great.
I have not seen Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist. Maybe I should change that. But yes, not to be confused with A Nora, which is also not to be confused with Annie. The
Oh,
That's
yes,
true.
of
yeah,
course.
the Broadway musical or its film adaptation. On the surface level, you might think, who the hell would even confuse these movies to begin with? But, well, Orphan Annie is famously a redhead, and Anora Mikiva has little red highlights in her hair. But one thing that's also true is that in both films, I don't think it's arguable that it is a hard knock life.
That's true.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, they do come up against wealth. The both stories I think
very
have
true.
a lot to say about that.
Yeah, and set in New York at that.
That's very true. Yes.
Very good.
Yeah.
More similarities than you would think.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my
and I'll also
God.
say Anora is not to be confused with Endora, who is Samantha's mother in Bewitched. And the reason I keep thinking of this is because Dougie and I named our snake plant Endora, because snake plants are also known as the witch's tongue, I think. So our snake plant is Endora, and I keep accidentally trying to call our plant Anora, so not to be confused.
Well, maybe you need to get a new plant and name that plant Anora.
They say you can't kill these things, but ours is not doing well, so I don't want to take on another.
Oh
It-
no.
yeah.
Real quick, is anybody here a Bewitched fan? The TV
Not,
show?
No.
not really, actually.
Listen,
Yeah.
Bewitched was like everything to me when I was like
Yo.
9 years old.
Yo.
Nick at Night.
Okay, thank you.
I was a Nick at Night whore. I was all over.
that.
I was all over Bewitched, and I Dream of Jeannie, and Mary Tyler Moore like every night. Ugh, every
I
night.
watched a bunch of Bewitched when I was a kid.
Hmm.
Let me ask you this. Are you Dick Sargent or Dick York for Darrin?
York, because he reminds me so much of Jim Carrey.
Thank you. That's the correct answer.
York.
York.
All the way.
York all the way. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, this film, Anora, none of these other things that we're speaking about, let's talk a little bit about what happens. So,
Let's do it.
although this film is called Anora, its main character repeatedly asserts that she goes by the shortened version, Annie. She is an exotic dancer at a high-end strip club, potentially just 1 mile away from where we record. Just want to point that out. At least that's where many of the club interior scenes were filmed, was in a club up on West 38th Street.
I looked it up. It was indeed filmed, I think, exteriors too,
Yes.
at that club.
Yes. So, we're pretty close by.
No way.
It is here that she meets Ivan Vanya Zakharov, the impossibly wealthy son of a Russian oligarch. The two begin a transactional relationship that begins to blossom into something more. And after a whirlwind week of partying, sex, drugs, and gambling, Vanya proposes marriage to Annie. At first, she rebukes him, thinking he certainly must be joking. But is it possible that Vanya is, in fact, in love with Annie and wants to commit his life to her? She hopefully accepts his proposal, and the two immediately wed. But all is not well for these newlyweds. As soon as news makes it to Russia that this billionaire playboy has married below his station, as they say, Vanya's family's hired muscle appear at their door to force an annulment of this new union. Vanya manages to escape, but leaves Annie to fend for herself against these three strange men. After proving that she is a force to be reckoned with, she and their leader, Toros, come to an agreement and set off to find Vanya. Their journey takes us and them through clubs, arcades, late-night diners, and boardwalks of Brighton Beach before it sends them to the Isle of Manhattan, back to where it all began. And that's Anora.
Beautiful.
Well done.
Thank
Yes.
Very well done. How did we come to Anora? Did everybody see it in theaters?
Yes.
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 Cool.
3 times.
Ooh, I saw it twice in
Flex.
theaters. First time I saw it was election night.
Oh, wow.
20,
Oof.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I was like, you know what? I know what's what. Let's just go to the
I just
goddamn
need to
movies.
distract myself for a bit.
I was like, y'all, I don't care. I don't want to see it. I
Yep.
don't want to hear about it.
Yep.
Get me out of here. Get me the fuck out of here. So I took, it was me, my boyfriend, Lindsay, my ex-boyfriend, Lindsay, and 2 of our other friends. And the 5 of us saw Anora while Donald Trump got elected for the second time.
Mm.
God bless America.
Well, considering like some of this film's message about wealth and class, that sadly feels like a fitting
Very
circumstance to
prescient.
experience it. And I should say, too, that I had election night entertainment as well, in that I went to Madison Square Garden and saw David Gilmour from Pink Floyd in concert.
Whoa.
And I kept saying, and I'm still saying it now, if there was any night ever to feel comfortably numb,
Ha.
that was the one.
Ugh,
Well done.
beautiful.
I have blocked out election night entirely. I have no memory
for you.
whatsoever.
But
That's for the
Do you
best.
think you
Yeah.
would have had a memory of that night if you had gone to see Anora?
Right.
Yeah, probably. But I have to say that I I'm not Julian, and I cannot remember specifics about movies that I've seen in theaters. And even now, you're asking me, yes, I saw this movie in theaters. I'm sure I did. I cannot really tell you anything else about where I saw it or when I saw it. At some point in the last 6 months.
Fantastic.
You need a letterbox. You got to start just taking notes.
That's why I made a letterbox, because I would go and be like, did I see this movie? Did I like this movie? I have no idea.
Girl, I would be cussing you out every day. I'd be like, what the fuck do you mean you don't know?
Yeah.
Did you see it or did you like it or not? How many stars?
Yeah. I'm like, I know I saw it. Absolutely. I can't remember beyond
painful.
that. Sorry.
Well,
I'm going to get you in shape.
I appreciate you.
Well, since we're talking about this, I can tell you exactly when. I could honestly tell you all 3 viewings, but I'll
tell you the day.
For our purposes, I'm going to talk
the
about
weather that day.
I'm going to talk about the first time I saw it, which for a few reasons was the most notable. So I saw it on Thursday, October 17th, 2024, the week of its release in New York.
Also my son's 5th birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Gabriel.
Thank you.
5th and a half birthday. There we go. This film won the Palme d'Or at Cannes. I had been anticipating it for months. I had seen the trailer numerous times. I had gotten a bit of the vibe of it from that. And this particular screening I went to featured an in-person appearance from Sean Baker, Karin Karagulian, and Mikey Madison herself. They only showed up for about 1 minute before the film played. As brief as it was, I could already tell a lot about what was going to go on. Sean Baker came out first. He was very modest, as he often seems to be. It's just like, hi, I'm Sean Baker. I directed this. I also cast my films, and here's a few of the actors.
I also edited this movie.
Exactly. He didn't even say that.
And I also wrote it. No big deal.
And then Karin Karagulian, who plays Toros in the film, I like to think that what Mink Stoll is to John Waters, he is to Sean Baker. He's been in every one of his movies in varying capacities. Mikey Madison, of course, came out too. From the contrast of her demeanor in person with what I had seen of her in the trailer, I could immediately tell she gave this role everything she's got.
Yeah, she's so soft-spoken.
Yeah.
And like shy and you can just
I'm
really tell.
Really surprised when I hear her speak.
I know, it's so precious. She's like, and I'm Mikey Madison.
Yeah.
And thank you.
It's like if you're
oh, I can't hear you, honey.
It's like if you're but it's like if you're a fan of The Sopranos and then you hear how James Gandolfini really sounded.
Yes.
Very
oh
similar.
my God, that was jarring. That
yeah.
blew my mind when I heard him speak out of character for the first time. I was like, oh my God.
I think
You're
he's
not
on
who
a
I
short
thought you
list.
were.
Yeah, I think he's on a short list of actors that when you see them, you cannot think of anything but their most famous role.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
How about you?
I saw this movie, I think the latest of everybody here, but I acquiesced to Sean Baker's requests, and I did see it in theaters. I did see it right after the movie won a bunch of Oscars.
I remember us texting on
You
Oscar
just
night.
saw it.
Yeah.
Brother, I need you to lock in.
When we were texting on Oscar night, you were like, man, I really need to see this movie.
This Anora movie seems like
Yep. I have a kid. I have a puppy. I have a wife. I live a very full life outside of watching movies, and that's not to say other people don't. But I take those other things
that
very.
A slight?
No.
I have a cat. I have a podcast.
Of course. No. I think the hardest thing for me to do, as somebody who has all those responsibilities, is actually to go see a movie in theaters.
I mean, he saw Barbie in between lessons here at the school.
Yes. And that was the only way I was going to see that movie.
Walked to the AMC 3 blocks or 4 blocks away and saw Barbie and then came back to teach more.
That's
I think, thank you. But I did. I went to go see it in the theater. I loved it right away. I felt like I had just enough of this movie described to me before I saw it to be appropriately blown away by all of it. I got to say, I was not prepared for how much this movie was about class and about how easily disposable people can be to the powerful and wealthy. And the movie itself, I think in like the way it's paced and how it's edited and how it looks is really so much with Annie and on an incredible wavelength. And it's so full of stuff. But the other thing that really hit me about it is like, I feel like this movie, it seems like it's never trying to tell you more than what you're seeing, which I also love. I think it's also something that's kind of present with Good Time. Yeah. And there's just an immediacy to everything that really belies how deep this movie goes. So let's get into it.
Really
something kind of slyly enigmatic about both movies. Yeah. And there's a lot that we're going to say about this movie over the course of this conversation, but getting into something that is about this movie specifically, but also kind of about some other movies we've discussed recently. So apropos of the film's title, a very significant detail of Anora is the main character's relationship to her own name. And recently we've discussed other New York movies, namely Frances Ha and Hester Street, where the relationships that the characters of those movies have to their own names make for significant revelations in the plots of those films. And that's certainly a detail in Anora, though, as Madeline, you mentioned earlier, the title character, she insists for most of the movie on being called Annie. And it seems that the only people who call her by her full first name are people that she is in some way opposed to, who are just insisting on calling her that. And so what do we think of this film's interpretation of this theme, how Annie relates to her own name?
I think it's a sign in some respects of her age. She's a very young person. And I think sometimes when you are young, you don't really have a whole lot figured out about yourself or maybe where you want to be in the world or how you want to appear to others. You try to safeguard certain things or you try to curate that in very specific ways, sometimes in ways that you don't really have to. And so when I think about your question, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Yeah. Is it's a sign of her youth. It's a quick way for us to know that while she appears to be in a lot of control throughout the film, at least the early stages of this film, that she's probably not exactly where she wants to be. And so this is one of the ways she kind of takes a bit of control.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say, I grew up being mostly called Maddie, and some people still call me that, and that's fine. Like, I was never called Madeline growing up. Everybody I knew, all my friends, all my family, my parents all called me Maddie. And so that was just my name. So like, I do think that there is a possibility that Annie has always been called Annie and that it wasn't a choice of hers. Madeline is also my middle name. So like other people will be like, why do you dislike your first name? And I'm like, I don't. I do not dislike Carrie. I've never been called that. Like I call myself that when I go to the bank. Like, and that's not a reflection on the name Carrie. I've just never been called that. And so it doesn't feel like me. So I also think that that's a possibility. And I don't know what that says as to what the film's perspective is on the name. I just think that that's also a possibility, that she's just always sort of lived with this particular name as her identity. And then kind of tapping into what you were saying, Emilio, now that she's getting older, perhaps she will, you know, at some point change to want to be called Anora. Like I shifted to being called Madeline pretty exclusively. But you know, that maybe she'll want to stick to Annie as well. You know, she still has time to decide for herself.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it.
Point. Both times I saw this movie, I actually thought that she didn't want to be called Anora because of maybe like a name based around her cultural identity, based around her ethnicity. You know how a lot of like first generation immigrants or non-native English speakers will like Americanize their name. You know, I have like a lot of Chinese friends who all pick their like American name, or like Latin friends who don't go by their full names. They just go by like, you know, George instead of Jorge and whatnot. So I thought, to me, it was kind of reading as like immigrant kid, like first generation who didn't want to stand out in any way culturally. I could be misreading that. That's just, she seemed to get super sensitive around people like more in touch with their culture calling her Anora. Like she gets very defensive when Russian people call her, especially. She's like, it's Annie. Like
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not like you.
Yeah,
You know?
even the
This is
fact
great. I
that
love that.
she doesn't herself want to speak Russian. Like she's embarrassed
Yes.
about
She
the
won't
way
even
that
speak it.
she speaks Russian.
Yeah.
Mhm.
She knows it's not very like polished. And through most of the film, people are very complimentary about her Russian. Ivan is normally very complimentary about her Russian. He's like, no, your Russian's great. And it's his mother towards the end that's like, your Russian's embarrassing.
Well,
Yeah.
I think, and
Yeah.
in that scene, that's when shit flips.
Yeah.
But also in that
Wait,
very
for
same,
her.
not only that same scene, but that same interaction, that's the only time in the movie that Annie voluntarily uses her full first name to
Yeah.
introduce herself as
Oh,
Anora.
I didn't even notice
Good
that.
Yeah, every other time it's someone else, whether it's Toros or it's Igor calling her that.
You catch that on the third time you see that in a theater. That's
Exactly.
yeah.
Well, I think you're actually exactly correct about that. But that's the only scene where Annie calls herself by that full name. Other times it's characters, and notably it seems to be, speaking to this point, Mariquita and Emilio, that you've collectively made, that when she's speaking to people of an older generation, whether Toros and Galina Stepanovna in particular, that name really seems to become more prominent. Igor, we sense, is closer, maybe not that close to her
He's
age.
30.
He's 30. Yeah, he mentions that
It was
to,
Oh
his
yeah,
birthday.
it's his
Ern's 30.
birthday.
to Anora's
Yeah.
23. But that he's older, but I wouldn't call that a different generation necessarily.
Yeah, they're still pretty close in age.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And he's the one at the end of the movie who says that he thinks it's a beautiful sounding name, but she counters that by saying, like, in America, we don't really give meaning to names. It's not like in other countries.
Yeah, where he's like, my name means warrior.
Yeah. And then she's
Mhm.
like, your name means a fucking hunchback or something like that. Yeah. And it's one of the first of, I'm sure will be many examples of the brashness of that character that is very amusing to watch. But yeah, it's like, yeah, I'm totally with the idea that it's like an anxiety about heritage that prompts her to shorten her name to Annie. And looking at Frances Ha, I mean, the title of that movie is just this, in that case, a very like bright way of saying I am a work in progress and that's okay. And I think that Anora like is often described as an anti-Cinderella story, aptly so. But if you look at the canon of like recent New York movies about 20-somethings trying to find their way, I feel like it's kind of the anti-Frances Ha in a lot of ways too.
Sure.
I can see that.
Whoa.
Boom.
Oh, speaking of
man.
Frances Ha and Anora, do any of you know who the head of the Cannes jury was that awarded this film the Palme d'Or?
It was Greta Gerwig.
Greta Gerwig.
Greta.
Just all comes full circle here.
And a great outfit. She looked amazing.
Greta, great. That's an anagram.
Great, yeah.
When we just discussed Good Time, we brought up some comparisons that we made to other A24 films. Now, the production company that released Anora would be Neon, and Mariquita, you're thinking that we can also dig into the Neon bag, find some comparisons to Anora, right?
We absolutely can. I got one. So I went with 2022's Sanctuary for
Nice.
this question.
That's an awesome
And-
movie.
Yeah, I agree. So my reasoning behind Sanctuary is it's another modern dark comedy about a sex worker and power dynamics and gender roles and also finance and class disparity. And it also stars another young ingenue from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Margaret Qualley.
Yeah. Who wasn't nominated for an Oscar this year. I thought she should have been, though.
She should have been.
Yeah.
Heck, I think she should have won. She would have been my pick.
For supporting.
For supporting actress,
Yeah.
for the substance.
Yeah, she was robbed. She was robbed,
Yeah.
I fear.
And also when we were, we had an earlier episode, like more than a year ago at this point, where we discussed the movie Secretary, which not only sounds very similar in its title, but has a lot of similar themes too.
And because we had that conversation, I saw Sanctuary, and I liked it. It was
Yeah.
good. I agree. Good choice there, Mariquita. Good one.
Totally.
Thank you.
So I chose Triangle of Sadness.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's a little bit of a stretch. I don't think it's like the easiest comp here, but there is kind of a young couple at the core of this movie.
Yeah.
You also have like a 3-act structure to that film that I think Anora definitely has.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and I also think that movie is very much about wealth and the destructive nature of wealth, and also like wealth as this thing that is supposed to apparently insulate you from other things in the world. And I think Anora spends a little bit more time with people on the other side of this coin. But there you go. That's my pick.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like
That's
that
also a Palme d'Or winner.
There we
I
go.
can.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Totally.
Thank you for strengthening my argument.
Are you guys familiar with this Swedish movie from 2021 called Pleasure?
No.
I was not
No.
either, but it jumped out to me in this list. I have not seen this, but this is a Swedish film directed by a director named Ninja Thyberg. Great name.
Amazing name.
It's her feature directorial debut. And it's based on a short by her. And it's about a young woman from a small town in Sweden who moves to LA to become a porn star.
Wow.
This really jumped out to me, and I saw that Sean Baker logged this on Letterboxd. So I feel like he probably was thinking of Pleasure some when he was filming Anora, potentially.
I like it.
But I haven't seen the film, so I can't speak more to it than that. But it was one that kind of jumped out to me in the list.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Well, if no one else is going to say it, I'm going to address the elephant in the neon room here. Anora makes me think a lot of Parasite.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yes, both films won the Palme d'Or. Both films won the Academy Award for Best Picture. But also, you know, the commentary on class and the arc of the film. Also, like a few months ago, I was talking with a student about like the current Oscar race, and who might possibly be listening to this. Hi, Jess, if you are. And well, she was talking about wanting to see a movie that had like the thing in Parasite where like someone knocks on the door and the whole tone changes.
Yeah.
And I said at that time, well, I think you're looking for Anora.
Totally.
But yeah, just the tonal change of the movie, the mix of genre sensibilities in it as well. And there's abundant room for comparison of those movies, not just in content, but in reception as well. And I think it's saying a lot about our world that those movies have been received the way that they have.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's almost like the wealth gap is getting bigger, guys. I don't know.
You don't say.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think
Maybe there's something culturally that's happening that's influencing the art.
I would say so
Something
for
like
sure.
that.
Yeah.
So Anora, as we said, takes place, we think, over a few weeks, definitely not more than a month. And Good Time, which we were talking about earlier, takes place in one night. So they both take place over pretty short time periods. And so I'm wondering how you guys think the pace of films like these need to differ from traditional films that take place over longer time periods.
I think because it's either a limited time frame and a limited location, I feel like that brings the opportunity to really pump the narrative full of tension.
Yeah.
Because you have to have something propulsive, even if everyone's just stuck in a room together or stuck on a one-day journey or overnight journey. I feel like stories like that lend to much more tension, and everything's kind of your senses are heightened because there is no 3 weeks later, 10 years later. It's like, no, right now, this is it. This is the moment.
Time offers you many more narrative possibilities.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that what drives these two films we're talking about today, and I think you were mentioning this, is there is just an immediacy. And we are not really left with a whole lot of ability to interpret. I mean, we are in many respects, but I think
like in the moment.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. And so, and a lot of what we're supposed to feel, I think, is not like this lingering question over like, oh, like we give something time to kind of simmer, marinate. There's none of that.
Yeah, there's no marinating. It's already on the grill. It's already burnt.
Yeah.
Like we have
You've
10
got your
minutes,
heat on high.
Yeah. It's charred. It's charred.
Totally.
And two movies that really bring this out for me that are both set in New York, both take place in one day. I have Shiva Baby from 2020.
Oh, that's such a good movie.
Right. And After Hours
of course.
by
Yeah.
Scorsese, the classic. But I feel like they pair so well with Anora, especially in just like there's something so New York about all four of these movies.
Yeah.
It's just so New York.
The Safdies even said on the commentary for Good Time that there was a score cue that they said was a direct homage to After Hours.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, and I totally agree with everything you just said, Mariquita, about like the way that it raises the stakes. I mean, interestingly, with the way that time works in both of these films, yes, they're notable for having much of their runtime take place over really relatively short spans narratively, but they also have montages.
Yep.
It's interestingly, I mean, I feel like the pacing of Good Time, that was always something that really struck me. So the movie is about 100 minutes long. It felt like half of that.
Yeah.
The prologue of the movie is 20 minutes long. It feels like 5. It really exists in this what feels like a warped time zone. And I've noticed too that like across several other Safdie Brothers films, be it Uncut Gems or Daddy Longlegs, I feel like they have more like a vignette structure in their movies. You can see narrative arcs, but that the way that people come in and out of certain sequences, it's more like just slices of life. And in Good Time, I think the way that manifests is that a lot of the secondary characters are kind of just there for a continuous chunk and then they're not there again.
Yeah.
It doesn't really feel like a 3-act movie. It really does feel like everything just runs into the next.
Yeah, because his desperation, I think, really allows the film to it forces the film to be constantly moving because he still has a problem that he's trying to solve.
Yes.
And he's not really getting that much closer to a solution. And he's having to improvise as he goes. I think he's making very dumb choices, but he's still making choices. He's still like attempting to think ahead and he has to keep moving. And even in points of the film where he is forced to slow down a little bit, like when they're at Crystal's grandmother's house, like he kind of has to stay there. He doesn't have a next step yet. He thinks he has Nick safe. He's still making decisions that he thinks going to lead him to safety and lead him and Nick to safety. And then something else gets thrown in where it's like, oh, it's not Nick, it's this Ray guy. And now he's caught up in this whole other story. So
yeah. And when you look at the impulsiveness of characters like him or in Anora, like several of the characters in that film, they both make me think of a lot of a movie like Fargo, where there's like a similar sense of impulsiveness, also dark humor. Like, as soon as the home invasion scene happens in Anora, I was immediately thinking of the home invasion in Fargo, because it's like, similarly dire situation that somehow is funny when you watch it.
yeah,
And
I have to say that I think I found that scene a lot less funny than a lot of other people.
Yeah.
I did catch myself occasionally nervously laughing, but her terror is so affecting that I just found it incredibly upsetting.
I definitely felt that the first time I saw it. The
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
time I was like, oh, Lord. Like, also, you don't really have a good sense of how dangerous those guys are.
Yeah. And Toros also, until he actually shows up, he's in charge of them.
yeah, I agree with what you were both saying about how it's like, the terror is the more palpable thing. And I think that when I first watched the movie, like, it was more that like a lot of the theater was laughing around me.
Yeah. I was also just going to ask you guys, Emilio and Julian, what other movies have we covered that are like this, where they take place in really short amounts of time or even like a single day or night?
So I think sooner or later we need to have a Sleepless Cinematic bingo card that has what I am about to say on it, because both of these films remind me of Dog Day Afternoon.
No.
Hell yeah.
Which
I think that's my favorite movie of the 70s.
Yeah.
it's
great
yeah,
choice.
It's a great choice.
it's so
I
good.
think that's the one.
Actually, when we discussed that movie, Madeline, at the time, you made the connection to Good Time there.
Yes. I
That,
did.
that's another movie about a robbery team where like one person's the mastermind. And well, in the case of Dog Day Afternoon, Sal is more like he has more agency than Nick does.
He does.
But the other character in Good Time who I have to think of is kind of like Sal is Ray.
Yeah.
And he's I think that his heart is in a little bit of a better place than Connie, even if a not much better place.
Yeah, we don't know what Ray got
that.
picked up for originally.
This is true. But he has friends though.
That is true.
Yeah.
That's kind of my point is that I think it's totally possible that Ray got picked up on some drug charges or something and that he's totally harmless. Whereas like we don't see him necessarily like actively harming people the way that we see Connie.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's worth giving a little shout out to the actor who plays him too, Buddy Duress, who tragically passed away about a year ago.
Yeah.
No way.
Of drug related.
An overdose, yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. He was someone who I don't think set out to be an actor in his life, but who the Safdies discovered when they were making heaven knows what.
Mm-hmm.
And he, like, in real life had a lot of trouble with the law as well.
Yeah, a lot of their inspiration for this film came from his own prison journals.
Right. And he's a lively presence on the Good Time commentary, too.
Yeah.
But... yeah, R.I.P. Buddy Duress.
Totally. Marquina, do you know if you guys have covered any movies on your podcast that take place in really short periods of time?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm pretty sure at this point we've done only like sprawling weeks, months, years. I mean, with AI, artificial intelligence, that's like thousands of years.
You're like, actually the exact opposite of this movie.
Literally the exact opposite of what you just said. I don't think so. Not yet. We're really circling Shiva Baby though. I really want to do Shiva Baby badly.
And I can see connections to Anora in that too, where it's, when you think about like being a young person under pressure when it comes to your love life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And also that there's like the same element of like immigrant experience and being of a younger generation and conflicts amongst partners of like a sexual or romantic nature.
Yeah.
And everybody knows better than you. And you're like defending your relationship or lack thereof everywhere. Yeah.
Very quickly before we move on to the next topic, one other classic New York movie that has an interesting relationship with time that I want to put in the mix here, Raging Bull. I thought of that in particular watching Anora because that's another movie where like the good times fly by in a montage and the most traumatic experiences are shown in very vivid detail.
That's brilliant.
Thank you. Yeah. There's also commentary about class and like also immigrant experience yet again. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there.
And a doomed relationship.
Yep, also true.
Good, very good one. Cool. Yeah. So moving on, the question I found to be very illuminating for both of the films that we're discussing today, as scenarios and circumstances changed for our desperate characters, is who has the power right now? Mm-hmm. I think both Sean Baker and the Safdie brothers are really interested in the social dynamics at play. And I'm wondering if there was a moment, and maybe we can highlight Anora first, and if we want to talk about Good Time after we could, but like when and where, when we watched Anora, were we surprised by who ultimately had the power? And why was that a surprise to you?
So I immediately have a thought on that. And I think that as the course of the movie goes along, it becomes clear that the odds are in the favor of the Zakharov family and all of their accomplices. But I think the moment when I realized that it's leaning in that direction is actually not at the beginning of the break-in scene. It's more when Toros comes in and starts speaking to Anora about how the situation is going to proceed. And he does say a few things to Annie in that scene, which end up, for better or worse, being correct just about what is going to happen in the movie. And one of those things that he says is, once we find Yvonne, which we will, and once we get this thing annulled, which we will, you're going to walk away with a $10K fee and never, ever contact Yvonne again. Is that understood? And, well, if you know what's going to happen in the movie, you see that he's totally correct there.
As far as we know.
As far as we know.
As far as we know. In that moment, he forecasts the narrative in a way that I think is very revealing of the power dynamics of that story.
For sure. And you know who else clocked it immediately? She's a hater and kind of a bitch.
I know what you're going to
But
say.
Diamond was right.
Yeah. She gives it 2
Diamond
weeks.
called it.
Yeah.
Diamond, justice for Diamond. She was like, listen, you're being so dumb. This guy does not like you. You'll be back in this club in 2 fucking weeks.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And she was.
I think she's seen this happen before. I
Yeah.
think
You
these
know
like
what? She probably
high flyers
has.
who come in to this club with a lot of money that is just they're looking for somebody, you know, and they think that it's going to be long term, but these men are conditioned
Mhm.
in a way that makes them get sick of these women and like work through them in a really disgusting way. And I
Well,
think
yeah, they're
Diamond knows.
disposable.
Yeah. Diamond knows these are the type of men who are coming into this club.
Mhm.
That's true. She seems a little older than Anora, so yeah, she's probably been around the block a few times.
Yeah.
And she's like, she called it.
No, she's got the crystal ball.
Yeah.
Or the
Yeah.
diamond ball.
The diamond.
Hey.
And to your question about power, I think once the mother is introduced, it's interesting because you don't immediately know which way it's going to go. I do think you have the sense, as you said, Julian, that the Zakharov family, with the means that they have, are going to be able to come out on top. But like after Ivan has had the whole like, "Are you stupid? Yes, we're getting a divorce" kind of moment, which makes
Brutal.
me so mad.
Yeah.
She deserves so much
hated
better.
that.
Although her
brutal.
response right after that is a very like, yes, you go girl moment.
But that's kind of what I'm getting to is that I
Right.
think she has several of those and she has the moment with the mother right at that point where she's like, I'm not getting on the plane. I'm going to get a lawyer. I'm going to sue. You're not going to walk away with half because this man has nothing actually.
Yeah.
Right. What are
This
you
is
taking from him? He's a
this is
child.
a child.
Like,
Yeah.
This is a 21-year-old who is just spending daddy's money. So there's nothing for you to take. But
there's nothing. Yeah.
But that's not what the mother says. The mother is like, I'm going to come after you and I'm going to take everything from you. But you don't really know which way it's going to go. Like you are kind of like, Annie, stand firm. Like, don't let them trick you. Like
Yeah.
you have some power here.
She also doesn't have like a car
Yeah.
and doesn't seem to have like a home.
Yeah, the mother's
So
like, do you
it's
have
like-
a house? Do you have a car? No,
Yeah.
I don't have a
No.
house or a car
Yeah.
either. But I do think it's
Right.
that intimidation factor of like, I'm also going to ruin your family's lives. And
Yeah.
Of course.
we don't know how close she is with her family, but that's still, I think, a tough threat, like no matter what like level you're at with your family.
Yeah.
I found it really interesting though, because in that moment, right before he drops the like, you know, "Are you stupid?" line, which cuts like super deep.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you guys catch that she drops back into that baby talk?
I don't think I caught that.
She drops back into the baby talk when he's like, "I had fun," and
Yeah,
she's like,
I did catch that.
Yeah, and she's like, "You had fun," and it's really interesting
yeah,
to me
yeah, I know what
how
you're
she
talking about.
like she still is kind of clinging in some way to the fantasy that she's created in her own mind about what this might have been. It just feels really sad. I mean, I actually think it's a good decision in some respects that she went there, because I think it shows in some ways the vulnerability of her, that she's still like, even though all of this happened, her client was satisfied,
Mm.
which is like brutal.
It's interesting. I interpreted that moment as so much more mocking, I think.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I felt like it was a mix of that mockery, but also like her sort of accepting that this
Yeah.
is over. It's just like, you know, asking, you had fun in a way of like, all right, I guess, you know, that's it.
I find it interesting though that it's the same voice that she uses like right before she accepts his wedding proposal. It's
Yeah.
that same, because
Yeah.
she kind of like lays out the like, "You want me to be your wifey?
Yeah.
You want to do that?" And then it's like,
Which is also kind of mocking, I think.
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. But it's weird. That mocking nature is juxtaposed, I think, a little bit with the like male fantasy of like, she's my trophy that I can cart around or whatnot.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
I think she knows that because it is a male fantasy, it makes her feel like she has some power over him.
Right. It's an interesting decision. I think
Yeah.
it's very loaded. I think there's a lot of ways you can go with it.
Totally.
The last thing I wanted to say about this point in particular was the moment I was like, oh, this is where this is going. is when you see Vanya's character, like when the two guys come to the door and they come in, the moment he finds out that his parents are coming.
Yeah.
You can see it on his face.
On his
Yeah.
great acting, by the way.
Yeah.
That guy, Mark Edelstein, is like, I know we've, rightfully heaping a lot of praise for Mikey Madison, but
Yeah.
boy,
I think
boy,
he's a real undersung actor and like underappreciated in this performance.
totally.
Yura Borisov got all the supporting actor nominations, but I thought that Mark Eidelstein and Karin Karagulian were equally deserving.
I mean,
too.
Yeah,
and
they were
that
excellent.
For sure.
that moment is so, it's like, oh no, his parents are completely in control of everything we're going to see after. So that to me was really, really fascinating, how quickly that turned and the decision for his character to just cave so
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
And-
power shifts a lot throughout Anora in like an interesting way. Like you said, between Vanya and Annie and the Armenians and then the parents. It's never with one person, one group never has the upper hand and like maintains it
Right.
until like you said, Madeline, the mother comes into the story and you're like, oh, this is shut down. Shut it down.
Mhm.
She actually has the power.
Yeah.
But up until that moment, it's like a great kind of ping pong that they're all playing with each other.
Like
Totally.
once that mother comes in too. Well, first there's a great little detail in that scene as the plane steps are unfolding and she kicks down the last one before it's even
Yeah.
set.
She like stomps it
Yeah.
down. She's like, hurry the fuck up. Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
she can't even wait for the mechanics.
But also in thinking of the chain of command, I mean, for much of the story, it appears that Toros and then Igor and Garnick, who are beneath him, they have some sense of power and agency. When Ivan's parents come into the picture, then they are put in a secondary position too, which I think is best illustrated by an interaction on the private jet where Garnick just, chooses a really bad moment to say like, excuse me, it's just a great pleasure to meet you all for the first time to Ivan's parents,
man.
to which Toros tells him to shut up before doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not that he's meeting them for the first time, but he's just saying thank you for everything. And I thought that, well, actually, to make a connection to Good Time, I feel like the dynamic that those two have is a little bit like Connie and Ray, where where it's like there's that famous interaction in Good Time, which I know has been memed a lot, of Ray saying, "You think you're better than me," and Connie saying, "I am better than you." And I think that there's a lot of moments where like Garnick is mad at Toros and Toros basically has the same interaction with him. Like after he vomits in the car and he's like, my wife has to drive this. What are you doing?
I love that moment.
Yeah.
That moment cracks
man.
me up. Oh
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
so
were
if we're going to talk
screaming.
about this movie being funny, I mean, that's a great example of it right there.
The biggest laugh I had was when they're at the gas station and she's like, I'm not getting back in this thing. Cut to
It
all of them in there
Yeah, like
with
covering their
covering
faces.
their faces. Incredible.
Yeah.
So good. So good.
We haven't said very much about Good Time relating to this question, but I feel like we kind of know where we're going with that, where it's like the power is, Connie has this sense of power the whole time throughout that story, but ultimately it is institutional authority that has the most power.
Connie thinks he has power.
Yeah.
But he's not any closer to getting Nick out, throughout the film than he is at the very beginning, I don't think.
Right.
Yeah. I wrote in my notes that both characters in Good Time and Anora, I feel like Annie ends up almost exactly where she was, if
Mhm.
not maybe even somewhat better. And
She at least
Connie
has
ends up
$10,000 more dollars.
right.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
she
that
has
ring.
that ring.
She probably can't go back to her old job though after the
Right,
scene
but she has no job.
that she was a part
Yeah.
of.
Right.
Yeah.
But Connie ends up worse
Yeah.
Right.
than he was at the beginning.
Mhm.
So there's just like both of these endings are kind of like, damn, this was all for nothing. But I feel like it's especially prominent in Good Time. Just
Yeah.
like you get to the end of it and you're like, what was that for?
Yeah.
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 You didn't fix anything. You didn't
Yeah.
help anyone.
Is there a
And-
sense, though, that perhaps with Connie out of the picture, he's not as bad an influence on his brother?
That's
and
definitely
his
true.
brother
Oh my
can
God.
get the help that he needs without Connie getting in the way. I mean, that's how the film starts.
Yeah,
Connie literally gets in the way.
Yeah, he's in the same, like Nick's in the same place at the end that he was going to be at the beginning.
Yeah.
Before Connie inserts himself because he thinks that he's the only one capable of helping Nick.
That's true. So Nick is in a much better place at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although the look on his face suggests that he's got to process.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
Yeah.
It's, I mean, I don't know if I'd say he's in a better place as much as he is just, he's in a better place than jail for sure.
That's true.
But like, is he in a better place than he would have been at the beginning of the story? Hard to say.
He's not on a farm.
But he was never going to be.
Yeah.
You know the market.
Yeah, that's true. You can't buy a farm for $65,000.
Another connection to Dog Day Afternoon, too, the way that the role that Wyoming and then eventually Algeria has as a destination in that film, very much like
I'm running away. I'm going to a farm. I'm like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
And also
not happening.
The Jennifer Jason Leigh character, Corey. I mean, she seems like really fascinated by travel too, even though it seems out of hers and Connie's means.
She wants to go to a swim up bar.
Yeah.
She talks about taking a trip the whole time. Like, oh, we're going on the trip. We're going to go somewhere together. You never leave your mom's bedroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine that part of the reason why she and Connie are drawn to each other is that they see a lot of themselves in each other.
Sure.
In, you know, even in some of their more erratic qualities too. And it's, you know, because Corey's relationship with her mother came up too. I noticed that's a big theme in Good Time of the relationships between characters and their elders. That whether it be Corey and her mother or Connie and Nick and their grandmother or Crystal and her grandmother, that a lot of the characters who are in focus in the film are, if not dependent, they are still like under the influence of older family members.
I actually think that you can expand that point out to a lot of New York movies. And I cannot think of a ton of them right now, but we talked a little bit about, Crossing Delancey when we spoke of Hester Street, but and you even see that in Dog Day Afternoon, you see the parents and other generations commenting on the actions of their children.
Yeah.
And I think, New York being such a hub for immigrants and immigration, and these families where multi-generational homes are kind of a norm for a good chunk of time, you are constantly having to consider your elders or your parents or your siblings. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really think about that until now.
And then like when you think about it in terms of Anora, I mean, it's already come up that like her mother lives with her man in Miami,
right?
Which sounds kind of like a spy movie line when you take it out of context.
Man in Miami.
Yeah. But in both of these films, I think that this is a gateway to a broader point that's worth making about both of them, which is that we experience a lot with their characters, but we don't get a lot of exposition about them other than what we experience. We don't get like unfoldings of their backstory and how they got where they are. We don't know why Annie is in this profession that she is. We don't know if she's estranged from her family or just not in the same place as them. Or similarly, like we don't really know like why, like, where are Connie and Nick's parents in all of this? Are they estranged? That kind of stuff too. I think each of them, they have little moments that can be very revealing of character. And we've mentioned a bunch of those already. I do have a few more that I want to mention, but before I do that, do you all have points like that you'd like to shout out to?
There was one detail, and this came up actually just in us speaking, but the Igor character. So the first time I saw this, my impression of the Igor character and the actor who portrayed him, I was like, cool, serviceable. I wasn't like really blown away. And I think when I saw this again, I saw a lot more of the layers in his character. And one of those details was the fact that he went on this awful journey on his 30th birthday. Now, we've all had to go to work on our birthdays before, but I think there's something particularly sad about how little control his character has throughout the film. And he tries to assert himself in small ways. And I think the other little detail that really got me for him was his last note with the family. How he was like, I think this kid should say, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you owe her an apology.
Totally.
Yeah.
With the apology, I found that so interesting because the parents are furious at him. Like, the parents know he's done a bad thing. They just don't look at it as being something that he did to her. They look at the whole thing as if something that he's done to them.
Exactly.
To them.
But it has this has nothing to do with them. I mean,
Because they don't consider Annie a person.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And so the fact
She's
that
a night butterfly or whatever
Gosh,
they call her.
oh
They
my
don't even
God.
call her by her name.
yeah,
Yeah.
She's just that girl or the whore, however they speak about her. She's so dehumanized to them.
yeah,
There is no considering what they're doing to her.
yeah,
And whoever threw out Triangle of Sadness earlier, that is a really like connecting thread to that movie where everyone who's wealthy and like on the like upper echelons of that cruise ship, whatever they're on, they don't consider, they don't even look the people in the eye who are feeding them or cleaning up after them, what have you,
Happens in Anora,
throughout
too.
that story.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it reminded me of how Vanya's parents treat Annie.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's one other moment in this movie that cracked me up, but I think there's something kind of deep in this. When they show up to that casino or the hotel
Oh
in
my
Las
God.
Vegas,
Mm-hmm.
the hotel manager is there being like, we didn't know you were coming, but we've kicked these people out, right?
Jesus.
So that little detail for me, it really interesting, very telling. Also, the way that that guy responds when he realizes he's off the hook. Like,
yeah, he like turns to the bellboy. Yeah.
and immediately is like pulling rank. Love that
Yeah.
stuff. And then the other thing, and this is a little more broad, but the way Vanya, he gives him a hard time, and then he's like, "It's all good. Let's go ape shit in this fucking casino." and like the way he says that, and how quickly he shifts to like, "This is a good time," I think is also like a trick that's being played on the audience.
Yeah.
That like
Yeah.
That's a good
how effectively it's all a party for this
That's
dude.
genius. Yeah,
And,
it's a party movie. It's fun.
deflect away from all of the really uncomfortable dynamic that just took place.
And the way he's able to shift with this guy is basically what he does to Annie at the end of the movie.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if we could use that as a moment to talk about the ending
Yeah.
a little
Ooh,
bit.
Okay.
On my rewatch, the thing I just couldn't stop thinking about is the fact that she can tell Lulu or her sister or whoever else about what happened, but nobody is going to understand what she went through. I think the way that Igor can, because nobody else witnessed it. And nobody else like will be able to comprehend just how callously she was treated in this situation. And even though Igor himself had a hand in it, like he's not totally innocent. He also is just like, they're doing his job to a certain extent. You do feel sympathy for him. He clearly cares for her. Yeah, I was just thinking about the fact that I think part of why she's able to kind of release in that moment with him is because she knows that he understands the trauma that she's been through in the last like 24 hours.
Yeah. And I think that in the closing scenes of the movie, the film does a really good job of articulating the nuance of their all their series of interactions, like both his complicity in the violence against her, but also, if you'd call it repentance that he's developed in the time since, and
I think it's remorse.
Remorse,
I think there's a little bit of remorse there. He's like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
And and he reveals in the final scene that he's held onto the ring that Toro stole from Anora and gives it back to her. So if there's any token for her to take from this experience other than that $10,000, it's this.
Yeah, that thing's 4 carats.
Yeah, that 4-carat
4
ring,
carats.
which maybe she can spin that into another tens of thousands of dollars too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Probably.
I mean, probably hundreds.
I was
Yeah.
going to
thousands,
say,
I would
yeah.
say.
I'm not wealthy enough to buy that kind of ring. I don't know how much they cost.
I'm going to assume it would at least be a down payment on a farm in Virginia.
But
Full circle.
Yeah, I don't think Yvonne is buying a lab diamond.
yeah.
Mhm.
Another thing I noticed on rewatch 2, I forget if it was rewatch 2 or 3, but that once the annulment finally happens, you can kind of see this simmer in Annie that comes to a head in that scene. You can, like, if you know what's about to happen, you can feel that she's going to break down at some point.
Yeah.
But then, actually, I'm going to spin that
But
in.
not in front of them.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right.
no, they don't
Yeah.
deserve it.
That is-
Oh fuck no.
That's true that
like,
she-
absolutely
She
not.
reserves that vulnerability for someone that she does feel, if not completely safer around.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm going to connect that back to another little brief moment earlier in the movie that I think is very illuminating as to how she got into this whole thing in the first place. It's one of my favorite lines in the whole thing, which is after Yvonne has asked, "Would you like to be exclusive with me?" And she takes off from her job for a week to spend time with him. And her boss, Jimmy, is asking if this is for real. And Annie says, "Well, Jimmy, once you give me health insurance, workers' comp, and a fucking 401k, then you can tell me when I work and not work." And then Jimmy just very flippantly responds, "Well, none of that's going to happen. So bye." And that's like that line, I think, is
Brutal.
explains a reason why this movie is so resonant broadly.
Mhm.
Like, as much as Annie's profession is something very specific that I'm certainly not trying to equate with other things, that sentence is something that can be said about many, many other jobs.
Mhm.
And so I think that's where, if you want to talk about why this movie is resonant enough to win 5 Oscars, I think that is a big reason why.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well said.
And
Thank you.
it goes into her desperation without her having to explain herself or have flashbacks and backstory and expository dialogue. It's just like, hey, listen, I don't even have health insurance, so what is it? Like,
What are we even doing here? Yeah.
what do we even do? Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
are we even doing here?
Right.
As we're coming to a close here, are there any, whether it's indicative of bigger traits about characters or just little details in general that we liked, are there any little things that we wanted to shout out about either film?
Yes, I have one more thing. Because I am a playlist girly, I understand so vividly the deep offense I would take to someone being very dismissive of my playlist. I thought that was such a little funny character beat from Anora. Just
Totally.
the way she's like, listen, play the music that I give you. I curated this playlist for a reason. These are my songs. And I have to pull up the line because I laugh every time I hear, she's like, I shared my playlist with him and he was very rude and dismissive.
She's also real
Kills me.
professional when she does it. She's like, it's the same when she talks about the
She's like,
401k and the
"Listen."
work. She's like, look,
I don't have a 401k.
this is what it
You
is.
don't get to tell me.
This is how I feel. Yeah.
Yeah, I love her. I love Annie. I think if I knew her in real life, even though she is a little messy, a little chaotic, I'd probably be friends with this girl for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the overwhelming consensus on Letterboxd.
Oh, really?
A lot of the reviews. One was like, "Oh, I just want to share a cigarette with this girl at Market Hotel," which is a venue in Brooklyn.
Well, what I was thinking earlier
I love
today
her.
is that we've already acknowledged how Mikey Madison is a pretty different person in real life
Yeah.
than who she is in the movie. And I think that if I got to meet her in person, which honestly I hope I do someday, she seems like a lovely person, I would request her to insult me.
Ha.
Yeah,
the way that
she's so good at it.
the way that people approach Brian Cox after Succession and ask him to tell them to fuck off.
Yeah.
I'd want her to I don't know what line, but I would ask her to insult me in a Brooklyn accent.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
So one New York touch to Good Time that we haven't mentioned so far, but I know is not going to come up in any other movies in this cycle, Celino and Barnes. Inferiorities.
Loved it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a play about Celino and Barnes.
Celino versus Barnes, I think
Yeah.
it was
Oh
called.
wow.
Here in New
Yeah.
York. Yeah.
Wait, what's this? I don't remember this.
It's a law firm that's on the it's a commercial on the TV and Good
Yeah.
Time.
Good
They're-
Time.
Oh, that's a real.
It's-
Is this like a newer New York thing?
Yes.
Celino Barnes been around for a while, I think.
I didn't know that was real. I thought that was like one of those funny like fake commercials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
No.
That's
but then
amazing.
also like the New York One reporters who are shown in some scenes.
Oh,
of-
I recognize them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a good
they're
time. They're
legit.
the real thing too. I always enjoy it too. Maybe it's specifically a New York thing, but there are anytime that they use the New York One reporters in fiction,
Yes,
I enjoy that a lot.
I love that.
I recently saw an episode of The Penguin, which is they use them for Gotham City too. Also, just saying because we had our guest Maggie Hill recently recommend The Penguin. I took you up on it. Thank you, Maggie.
Thanks, Maggie.
Yeah, and one other little bit of symbolism that I wanted to point out in Anora. So this is something, it took me a few viewings to actually notice this. In Annie's room in the apartment that she originally lives in, there is a print of a butterfly.
I saw that the second time.
Yeah, and during the home invasion scene, the nightshirt that she's wearing has an image of a butterfly on it too. And
She also has a tattoo of a butterfly on her.
She has a butterfly tattoo.
I didn't even
Oh, and the
catch that.
butterfly nails.
Oh,
Oh yeah, because she's classy.
and I love
She's classy.
I love the little detail she says to her friend where she's like, I got dollar signs like a real hoe. And she's like, no, you're manifesting. I love
You're
so
manifesting.
cool.
I love these girls.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
right.
But and then also Mariquita, I mean, you mentioned how Yvonne's father insultingly calls her something relating to a butterfly too.
Mhm.
And I don't
Yeah,
know
a
if
night butterfly.
I don't know if I totally have made sense of what this could mean yet, but I did notice it's a big motif with this character. Maybe there's like an optimistic idea
Yeah, there's
to
a
it,
transformation thing.
that there's a brighter future for her.
Yeah.
I
Um,
hope
hope so.
yeah,
I'm wishing the best for Annie always.
Same.
yeah.
Connie, you can go to hell.
On that note, why don't we shift gears here a little bit? Marquita, thank you so much for joining us.
This has been lovely.
has been so
Yeah,
cool.
thank you so much. This is great.
No,
Yeah.
for sure. Where can listeners find you?
I can be found on Instagram and on Letterboxd. Oh my God, duh, of course.
That's right. We
I'm
were
all
talking
over
about Letterboxd earlier.
and Letterboxd at Kita_babe. On both. Our podcast can be found Post Film Clarity Pod on YouTube, Instagram, Letterboxd, and
Y'all on TikTok?
TikTok.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah. See, I'm losing it. We're also on TikTok. I forgot TikTok existed.
Fair.
There were a lot of people who a couple months ago would have told you that was reality, but
Oh man, we were so close.
I know.
That was like the most peaceful 16 hours of my life. I
Well,
was like, damn it, we're back.
thank you again so much. And I just want to say just another shout out to what you and Lindsay are doing. It's so good.
Thank you.
Please keep it up. You guys
Totally.
are really a fun pair. The episode for Women's Month, I loved Pen 15. I'm a huge fan. That was a great
Oh my
episode. I
God.
agree. So
Oh, I can't wait to tell Lindsay.
Yeah.
She's been
Oh,
begging me to watch.
I love Pen 15. So yeah.
I'm gonna watch it really soon.
Cool.
I'm watching so many movies right now.
Yeah.
I
I'm like struggling to keep up with series, but
Totally.
I'm definitely gonna check that out. Thank you so much for listening and having me on, and I would love to come back.
Yeah,
Well,
totally.
Thanks for being
This
here.
is
You've been a
great.
lovely presence.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys.
So,
Thank you
Good
so
night,
much.
and we will definitely be in touch.
See
Good
ya.
night.
Adieu.
All right. What do you guys say? Someone likely shared universe?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Awesome. Anybody wanna start?
Any takers for the start?
I can go if you guys want. All right.
Go for it.
So I'm in the Good Time universe right now. When we meet Dash the security guard, we see that he's a night watchman for the Adventureland theme park somewhere in the New York City's 5 boroughs. I couldn't get a good handle on exactly where he was, but he's doing his very best to single-handedly apprehend Ray and Connie, and he successfully calls in their trespassing to the police. Or does he? I'm going to propose, and with a little bit of a tinge of sadness, because I kind of don't want this to be true, but for the purposes of this exercise, I'm going to go with this. I'm going to say that Dash is not who we think he is. How did we learn about Adventureland to begin with?
Ray.
Exactly. It was Ray who said that he and a handful of criminal types ran into the park looking to hide from the police the day before and stashed the bottle of acid and the bag full of cash in one of the attractions. So it was from Ray. How reliable is Ray?
Not very.
I would say he's not very reliable. I mean, he's kind
He says he had no memory of yesterday, and then he spends 20 minutes telling us in detail about what happened. Seems suspicious.
Thank you very much. I would agree. I think Ray is a mess. I think he's been under the influence of God knows what. He's been on some kind of a bender celebrating his release from being incarcerated. He thinks he saw guys by the name of Trevor and Donnie there. I believe that Dash was actually one of those guys who knew about the money and the drugs and was actually there trying to pull off the same smash and grab job literally minutes before Ray and Connie got there.
So there's another security guard.
I think, yes, there's another security guard who's gagged and bound in a different attraction and was put there by Dash before donning his own clothing and impersonating his job, told him, look at me. I'm the security guard.
How far down does this go? How many security guards have there been?
I'm going to say there's just
those
two.
three.
Those three. Exactly, those three. I would say that Dash is actually somewhat connected there in New York's drug scene. I mean, check out his crib. Not too shabby. He seems like he's established himself in this place. And in all honesty, he's really lucky that he's not in prison right now because he and a band of pirates from his home country in Somalia successfully boarded a cargo ship and took the crew hostage. He served a much shorter sentence than you would think someone would do for doing something like that. And he had a great public defender that got him off on a bunch of technicalities. And now in the U.S. with very few prospects, you know, he took that moxie and used it to, unfortunately, sling drugs on the street, which is where we meet him, desperate to find the drugs and cash that were stashed in that hasty getaway and ultimately getting carted off by paramedics, beaten to a pulp, and apparently tripping on a dangerous amount of acid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when I see Ray pouring that much acid into this man's face, I was like, this man, I'm amazed he's not dead.
Yes. That he's just speaking in his native tongue is, if that's
Best
all
case
that
scenario.
did, thank you. Best case scenario.
Or really bad acid.
Yes, that's true. Yes. Do we know what movie this is?
This is Captain Phillips.
This is Captain Phillips.
I haven't
Exactly.
I haven't seen either, but
from the-
I know the thing.
Yeah,
Yes.
how iconic that quote is.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Can I present, I would say maybe an alternative or possibly just a continuation.
Sure. Please.
For Dash.
Do it.
So we see him get carted off in an ambulance. I am hopeful that he's going to be okay. I think there's going to be a tough road to recovery from this amount of drug overdose, I would assume. And probably his exoneration is going to be kind of complicated, but I'm optimistic that Connie's arrest will help him.
Yeah, I think so.
We know that Connie got Nick off. Perhaps he also, presented a full confession after seeing Ray drop out of that 30-story building and said, like, okay, I need to do some soul searching. So we're going to say that Dash here actually does get an opportunity to continue on with his life. So that's great. We saw a photo of a young girl on the wall of his apartment. That is, in fact, one of his two daughters. The other picture was just around the corner. We just didn't see it from that particular angle.
He doesn't have favorites.
No, he has two daughters in separate photos.
There we go.
After his stay in the hospital, he decides he has had enough of New York. Can you blame him?
Nope.
And he moves his family to Espanola, New Mexico. Struggling to find consistent work and be able to afford rent, the three of them squat in a small house, and the girls begin to sell snacks on the streets of Espanola. One day, Nala, one of Dash's daughters, encounters a supposedly kind man who gives her $100, only to immediately ask for it back once the nearby camera stopped filming. Feeling betrayed and slighted, Nala curses this man, and he subsequently spirals with worry. Now, Nala may be bluffing, as kids do, or perhaps she holds more power than even she believes. This curse could manifest with something as simple as, say, removing the chicken from his meal kit. but perhaps could lead to a fate much, much darker and something you and him and Nala and Dash will never see coming. I guarantee it.
And you're talking about the curse.
I'm talking about the curse.
As soon as you said Espanola, New Mexico, and pointed at me, then it hit me.
When Emilio texted that you were going to do Barkhad Advi, and you were like, yes, it's the one you think it is. But then I was like, well, I'm going to do this one. And I'm like, Julian, this is, yes, the one you will think it is.
Okay, nice.
Which is the
nice.
curse. And I just want to underline that the series finale, or the season 1 finale of the curse, is something you will no one will ever be able to predict.
Yeah.
No
Ever.
matter how many guesses.
No matter,
infinite
you
guesses.
could have unlimited guesses after watching every other episode in that season, and you will never guess how that season ends.
Is it satisfying?
I think
Yes.
so.
You
Yeah.
think so? Oh,
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
it
a
is-
real achievement.
It is satisfying. I wouldn't say there's closure,
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
but it is.
Those are two different
It's-
things.
it
yes,
is-
it is satisfying.
Yeah, I think it's satisfying in the way that like Twin Peaks: The Return is satisfying.
Which I know doesn't give you much of a point of reference
But,
necessarily.
yeah, it's like it will frustrate your conventional instincts in following narrative, but in the end, you'll think this is innovative.
Yeah, that's a good way of describing it. Thank you.
Of course.
So
And-
this is the curse, which is also heavily, Benny Safdie is heavily involved in the curse. He's in the curse. He's a co-creator of the curse. Does he direct it all?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he directs some
Oh,
of the
this is a Nathan
episodes.
Fielder one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got it now. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Honestly,
Boy, that took me a second.
I
Fair.
needed this reminder. I've got to come back to that show. That was a good one.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, crazy ending. It's all coming back to me now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Celine Dion style. All right.
all right. Well, I'll finish this off with another scenario pertaining to a good time character, but a different one. So, Connie's girlfriend, Corey, displays an abundant desire to travel, despite appearing to be in a situation where that is not viable. The exact situation isn't totally clear, but we know that Corey has somehow wound up being dependent on her mother, who carefully monitors her financial decisions. After Corey's relationship with Connie is disrupted by his prison sentence, Corey reevaluates her life and gains the motivation to apply for a graduate program in clinical psychology, a financial decision that her mother can indeed get behind. After successfully completing a program at an unspecified university, Corey winds up practicing psychology in Florida, finally scratching her itch to travel, and ditches her former surname Elman in favor of a new name, Ventris, to shed any visible association with the incarcerated Konstantin Nikas. After establishing herself, Dr. Ventris becomes deeply intrigued by a seemingly biome-altering ecological event that occurs after a meteor strikes a lighthouse in a Florida wildlife preserve, and her interest paves the way for her involvement in researching the so-called shimmer that has emerged in the radius surrounding the meteor's crater. Then, when a man believed to have been swallowed by the shimmer mysteriously returns home to his wife after a year or so of disappearance, in which he's thought to be dead, Dr. Ventris becomes the natural choice to lead an expedition into this unknown realm. And jaded by her past, but enticed by the shimmer's mystery, she may have just found the area where she belongs.
I
think
got it.
we know
Yeah.
what this is,
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is not something I can say for a lot of newer movies, but I got this one.
Yeah.
and
absolutely.
it is.
Want to say it?
No, because I always get this confused with another one, and so I can never remember which one it is.
Annihilation.
That's
Thank
the
you.
one.
There we go.
Yeah, in which Jennifer Jason Leigh portrays Dr. Ventris in a really interestingly subdued performance.
I would say so too.
Yeah.
I kind of forgot that she was in it. I had
Yeah,
to be
sometimes
told.
I forget that.
I had to
Yeah.
be told like shimmer. Like
Yeah.
I had to be given all of that and be like,
Yeah.
oh, all right, that's her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always get the titles of Annihilation and Arrival mixed up, and I can never remember which is which.
I understand that.
I guess.
But-
I can see
but-
that.
But I don't imagine you're going to confuse them with Anora, though.
No, that's different enough.
Anoralation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Would the shimmer be the threaded glitter hair? We find out that the whole
Yeah.
Maybe that lighthouse in Florida is where Annie's mom lives with her man.
Yeah, sure.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Very nice. Guys, we did this, and we did this with Mariquita. Mariquita had to leave us a little early, but that was really cool. It was so fun having her.
Yeah, absolute blast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about what we're going to discuss next?
Totally.
Yeah. For the next few films we're going to discuss, it's going to be a bit of a different spin on things. When you talk about the canon of New York movies, we've talked mostly about more recent things, but you can't ignore those classics from the 70s, as some of our conversation tonight has proven.
Yeah.
And seeing as we're coming up to our close-up segment, in which we typically profile some kind of industry professional, we've covered actors before, we've covered directors, we've even covered a songwriter. Now we're going to do a cinematographer. That would be the great Owen Roizman, who shot such classic films as The French Connection, The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, and Network.
That's correct. Those are the three movies that we're going to see. I'm excited that we're going to be looking at New York City through the lens of someone whose job it was to look through the lens.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah, he left an enormous footprint on cinema, I think, starting in the 70s and captured New York City on film in some really memorable ways.
Totally.
Yeah. I have not seen any of these movies, and I'm really excited to. I've been meaning to see all three of them for a while. Particularly like Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3 is one that I keep being like, that looks fun. That looks really fun.
Yeah, I've seen two of these three movies. Network will be the new one for me, but I'm really excited. And I'm also excited to see how these things connect to the movies we've discussed already, and to discuss a new type of industry professional that we haven't really done before.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, in addition to this podcast, you can follow us on TikTok and Instagram at Sleepless Cinematic Pod. You can contact us via email. We really do love when we hear from you. Write to us at sleeplesscinematicpod@gmail.com. If you're on Letterboxd, you can follow me, Madeline, at Patroness of Cats.
And you can follow me, Julian, at Julian_Barthold.
If you are listening to us for the first time, thank you for finding us. If this is your 4th, 5th, or 50th time that you've listened to us, thank you so much for sticking with us. We have really grown to love doing this, and it means the world to have our budding listenership grow.
And if you haven't already, we'd ask you, return listener, to please write a positive review and rate us on your podcast platform of choice. This is one of the best ways for new listeners to find us and help our podcast take its next steps. You can also keep it grassroots and tell a friend to tell a friend about the Sleepless Cinematic Podcast. That helps too. And on all of these notes, I bid you all, touche.